Touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always for the very last time for a Buck in the News show that is not quite a Buck in the News show. I'm Brent Allen, your host. That is my good friend right over there, Ren Daxt. Ren.
Yes. Hello. What's up?
What's up, my friend?
Hanging out being cool, man. Hanging out being cool.
But I haven't heard you say that in a long time.
Did I used to say that?
You used to say that all the time. I'd say, hey, Brent, how's it going? You go, hanging out and being cool, man.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that was like your weekly thing. Like you said, probably for, I don't know, let's call that season 2017.
Sure. Nobody fact check that.
Please don't. Please don't.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm hanging out being cool, man. You know,
there you go, man.
absorbing everything Bucks to the point where I don't want to hear it anymore. So, of course, it's time for us to do a podcast.
There it is.
Let me tell you why everyone who's talking is wrong.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I have not been, to be quite frank with you. This week, actually today, right now, is my 11th wedding anniversary.
Is it?
Today. Yes, but I am spending it here with you instead of downstairs in bed with my wife. But that's okay because she and I have been gone for the last 4 days. We went to Hilton Head and got away, and
Nice.
let's just say everything's taken care of, if you know what I'm talking about.
Don't
yeah.
want to know. Don't want to know what you're talking about. The physics alone are baffling.
Get that little image seared into your brain.
Thank you. You play any golf?
We did not, because it was cold up there.
Oh yeah.
Cold.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: we don't play golf. Like, we don't even own a set of clubs, right?
Okay.
Which would be fine. Like, okay, fine. Let's just go out and let's just rent some clubs and just go play. Except like all the golf courses in Hilton Head are like high end, like hundreds of dollars for a tee time, and we're like, no, we're not going to pay that. Just to
Where's the municipal course?
Yeah, we did play putt putt. We did go play around a putt putt.
There you go.
I won. I went 6 under. She went 3 over. So
wow. Was everything a par 2?
No, there were some par 3s, par 4. We took the challenging course.
Oh,
yes.
You took Copperhead, was it? Copperhead
it was Blackbeard or Captain Kidd. Take your pick. And Captain Kidd was a challenging course. So we
Captain Kidd was a challenging course?
Yeah, I know, right? Like you would have thought it'd been reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no.
Wow. That would have been a question I'd been asking the guy as I returned my club. Hey, pimply face 16-year-old. You need to tell me why Captain Kidd is the hard course.
Yes, because that pimply faced 16-year-old had anything to do with laying out the coursework or the signs.
Welcome to the customer service business, son.
I'm just working here.
Welcome to the customer service business, son.
Hey, already kicking it off. Kyle Driver hitting us with the $2 super chat saying "Go Bucks." Absolutely, Kyle. Abso-friggin-lutely. God, man, I've been saying. I tell you, I've been wearing my gear all week, Ren.
Yeah.
If there's, I know you're not a big gear wearer.
I am not.
Any week to wear gear, it has been this week, and I've gotten so many people who've stopped and asked me. Mostly people in Hilton Head. Most of them Patriots fans.
Mm-hmm.
In Hilton, like I don't whatever. But it's every single time I've been giving them the "Go Bucks," like doing, you know, and nobody went, "Hey, are you Brent from the Pewtercast?" Not a single one.
That happened to you once though in Epcot, didn't it?
No, it was Magic Kingdom, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for anybody who didn't hear that story, and that'd actually be a lot of you because we have a lot of new listeners this year. When I was walking through the Magic Kingdom one time and somebody saw my hat and they just went, "Go Bucks," and for whatever reason, I don't know why I did it. I did it the way I do it here on the show. I went, "Go Bucks," and like he stopped and he went, "Hey, wait!" And this was like, I don't think we didn't do as much live video.
We didn't do any
at the time.
We didn't do any.
We didn't do any because it was just call-ins. Our post-game shows were still just call-ins, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So
we could see each other by this time, but we weren't recording it and putting it out on YouTube at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was cool. It's I mean, and you and I over the years, Ren, we've gotten recognized by our voices a few times in various ways, and that's always cool. So if you guys are out there listening and you
got me out of a drug bust,
hear our voices. Do what?
Got me out of a drug bust once.
Did it really?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't remember this story.
Is that 2 pounds of heroin yours, sir? Mowing down talk Buccaneers football? Get out of here, Ren. I don't want to see you around here anymore. Yes, officer. That's how it went down.
You want some? Oh, wait. Oh, man. Oh, but Ren, so this is our Buck in the News show, or typically this would be our Buck in the News show. And for those of you that are new, here's how the Buck in the News show works. We talk about all the news and everything surrounding the Buccaneers as we look towards this game. That starts off by talking about the roster moves and what the team's done this week. We'll talk about headlines that have come out about the team. We talk about the injury report, and then we start talking about things we're looking forward to this game. Here's the problem with that, Ren, for this particular week. This is something
no one cares about any of that stuff, and neither do we.
But there have been no roster moves.
Oh, really?
And let's face it. Look, you want to know the only headline that's come out of the last 2 weeks? Like the only headline?
Brady's coming back, going to play till 45.
No, that's
coming back.
About that. No, is
Sue wants to come back.
No.
Okay.
No, we've all known that none of that's new. Here's the only headline that Gronk misled his coaches by putting on different shirts while he was out running, so he just sent them in one a week at a time.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you're like, hey, you remember those first 6, 7, 8 weeks with Gronk this year?
Yeah. Gronk doesn't look the same.
Right. Oh, look, he's finally got in shape, and turns out that's actually exactly what it was. He finally got in shape. So we don't have any of that. So we're going to forego that, and really we're going to jump right into it. We'll talk about the injury report and talk about some of these injuries because it really is going to affect the game. And then really we're just going to spend the bulk of our time talking about the Matt Stafford Jared Goff trade.
Yes, can't wait.
Because that's all that anybody's been talking about for the last 2 weeks is the Matt Stafford Jared Goff trade, as if there's not another freaking game out there. If there's not 2 other teams that actually are still playing. Oh my gosh, Ren.
Yes.
It's the headline that shouldn't have been a headline this week. Actually, it should have been a headline. Just didn't need to stick around as long as it
did not have that same reaction or strong as you did.
Oh, really? So here's the I
thought it hung around for a couple of days and that was it. It was fine for me.
It was today. You don't have Sirius XM, do you? Or you don't listen to it? So we have that in the car, and obviously we've been traveling a lot. And listening to the NFL Network on Sirius XM, that's all they were talking about. The whole time. And they actually created a special channel just for the Super Bowl on Sirius XM. I flipped it on today, and they're talking about country music and the Super Bowl.
And now we are too.
No, I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
But then they turned around and said, hey, what do you think about that Matt Stafford trade? And I was going, oh my God, stop it. And I flipped on NFL Network, and that's all they were talking. I was like, just get back to the Buccaneers. So no, we're actually not going to talk about the Matt Stafford Jared Goff trade because that doesn't have anything to do with us, and I don't care about that other team. We'll talk about Bucks. We're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about the Bucks Chiefs as we head in. And Ren, I'm gonna lay it out for people. If anybody hasn't placed their bets on the game, I've got all the hot tips. I've got all the surefire 100%. It's all backed up by mathematics, and math never lies.
Do you have that clip loaded somewhere?
Do what now?
When we used to do the poll. Remember when we used to do the poll?
Oh yeah. Wow. Dude, that's a long time ago. The Pewter guys. We used to do a poll every week, folks. And Brent and I would sit there and go, all right, what should we do with the poll about this week?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it got too hard, so we dumped it.
That's exactly right.
How does your show evolve? Well, when things get too hard, we just quit doing it.
Right. So anyway, so we'll do that. We're not taking any phone calls tonight. And
we'll be answering some questions in chat.
Yeah, you guys drop them in the chat, and we'll definitely answer it. And Brent, let's go ahead and do this just because it's a super chat in here. Steve sends in a super chat asking this question, so we'll just start here. Who is easier to replace, Ryan Jensen or Donovan Smith?
Well, are you talking about level of play, or are you talking about position?
That is the case, and
Pick one.
He just doesn't say.
I know. I'm asking you to pick one.
Oh, for me,
Just pick one.
Level of play.
Level of play. That'd be Jensen, obviously.
Yes. Position.
Definitely Donovan Smith. And here's why. And the reason is because centers, one, even if you're the best center to come out since, I don't know.
Ryan Jensen.
Ryan Jensen, sure. Yeah, out of a D2 school. Like you can get them, you can wait till the end. Like you can be in the Super Bowl and probably still grab that center. Yeah. Like there's going to be no centers that go in the first round this year. I can almost guarantee it. So 2, also he plays a position where he has help on both sides if need be. So if you have good guard play, you can sort of bring the rookie center along until he gets up to speed and turn into something else. And then, of course, Donovan Smith plays left tackle position, which is, a top 5 left tackles worth their weight in gold, and they get paid for it. Even a top 10 is worth their weight in platinum, and they get paid for it. Even, any starting left tackle gets paid a king's ransom because you're a starting left tackle on an NFL football team. So that would be the one that would be harder to replace, even with the up and down career that Donovan's had.
Right.
The end.
There you go. Sorry, I was actually just trying to look up. I was wondering where Donovan was ranking among left tackles this year. And I was trying to look that up real quick, but there's nothing real quick about that.
When he was a rookie, he was always ranked 3rd among rookie tackles.
Really?
From week to week.
And how many rookie tackles were there that year?
3. I remember watching that. Like, I'm like, 3rd, that's awesome. And I used to watch it. I see that stat every week.
Yeah. And
then finally I went and looked, and like only 3 people qualified.
But he also made the all rookie team that year too.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't have a ranking for him for this particular. If anybody out there in the chat has a ranking for him this year, please feel free to drop that in. But yeah, Donovan. Well, I mean, I don't know. Donovan, he's been playing well lately. Oh
yeah, like I'm to the point where the coaching staff, even if Donovan doesn't get any better or get more consistent, that the coaching staff understands now that as long as Tom Brady's quarterback, you have to keep him upright. And if that means you got to give Donovan help and send one less out in the route, then that's what you have to do. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons Donovan looked a lot better. If you put him on an island out there for 65 plays, 2 or 3 of them, he's going to get beat. But if you put him on the island for 30 plays, that goes, the percentage goes down. So
right.
That's what they're doing. And again,
you mean the coaches are actually coaching to the players that we have?
I know. And something, yeah.
Oh,
I know.
Hey, you remember when we used to have a coach who was just like, I don't care if that person's getting beat all the time or not. They're supposed to be able to do it, so they should just go do it.
Yes, I do.
Oh, gosh.
Now he's the offensive coordinator. Well, I guess not anymore. Is he still the offensive coordinator for the Falcons?
Not anymore.
Probably not, yeah.
No, he retired. He retired from coaching.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dirk Cutter retired?
Yeah, Dirk Cutter retired. Yeah, there was a big thing about it. His kids were tweeting about it. Yeah, he decided to retire from coaching, which I don't blame him. I mean, he wasn't a young guy.
He was in his 60s.
Yeah. So he'd been doing it 40 some odd years and stuff. So, hey, listen, we have another super chat question came in. So these always percolate right up to the top. Amazement sends in this one saying, nobody's talking about the BA factor. We have an aggressive coach, and that's what you need to beat a team like the Chiefs. Perfect example with Scotty's touchdown.
Yes, after some deliberation. I think honestly, that he's become a better coach as he's sort of toned down his aggressiveness offensively and sort of with red flag calling. There's a lot of like momentum and gut feeling in some of his calls when he was here last year. And you're kind of like, you would have been really happy and thought Bruce was the coolest if it worked, but it didn't most of the time. So you started to get frustrated and the game had passed him by, and is he too aggressive and all that kind of stuff. But I agree with Amazement there that I think that's the type of attitude you got to take into this game. No kicking field goals inside the 30, man. Like if it's not 4th and I don't even know 15, like I'd go for it on 4th and 11. I really would.
Yeah.
If I had the space, you know what I mean? Like I would. Like no field goals, man.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be it's going to be something, and I will go ahead and spoil it. This is what I had listed as my final thought for tonight.
Sure.
After all the ridiculousness that I'm about to talk about here,
okay,
or at least at some point, this is where I'm finally coming down to. Ultimately, I think what we have here are 2 very, very good quarterbacks that are playing some of the best ball of their careers right now. Very different, but very, very good. They both have an amazing cast of players around them, amazing supporting cast around them. They both have really good defenses, although the Bucs is better, in my opinion. Actually, the numbers bear that out as well, too. Ultimately, though, given the fact that I think these teams are so evenly matched on their respective sides of the ball, I think what this one's going to come down to is coaching. Is who's going to be coached better, who's going to get out coached, and I think I think that's where this one's going to come down to, and I agree.
So you think the matchup against Bowles versus Reed, and then sort of the four-headed monster of Tom Moore, BA, Leftwich, and Brady
versus
against Spags.
Yeah, well, who's Bieniemy? Oh, he's their offensive coordinator, but doesn't call
the plays.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're gonna look at there. And in some ways, I think it's just BA versus Reed, who's got their team better prepared all the way around. Who's when they do those big team meetings and stuff, like what are they expecting and extracting out of their people. So, but I think ultimately that's what this game is going to come down to is who's going to be the better coach.
Well, first off, who's going to be playing in the game?
Well, let's talk about that, Ren.
Okay.
That's what you call it. That's an amazing transition, Ren.
Well, it would have been
years. That's great. Sorry, I just had to point it out. Yeah, let's talk about it. Buccaneer, they had to do something weird this week. We've never experienced this, and I don't know if they typically do this in Super Bowl week or not because we're never following it this closely. They had to do an injury report last week as if they were practicing.
Yeah, that was interesting.
If they were playing a game. So we're not going to talk about that, but it was just so
they put an injury report out Tuesday, and they didn't hold practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, if we did hold practice today, this is what we think would have happened.
Yeah. But they did that like the whole week last week.
Well, they practiced last week too. No, just for that first day.
Oh no, but when they did their when they got to their Friday injury report last week, it was they had to give their status if there was a game that weekend.
Yes. Like
whether they were doubtful or questionable or whatever. But coming down to where we are now, this is where we are. You want to talk about the Bucs or the Chiefs first?
Let's talk about the Bucs first because it'll be relatively short.
Yeah. So basically the Bucs have nobody out.
Correct.
This is a full team. Cameron Brate, Antonio Brown are both questionable.
And both have been reported from high-up blue checkmark sources that they're expected to play.
There you go. So both of those guys. Now, Cam Brate's probably the most interesting one on there because he was an ad on Thursday.
Yeah.
With a back injury. So that's a new injury that something happened here during the week.
And I think Cam Brate's going to be really important in this game.
Talk about that. Go ahead.
You want to talk about? Okay. Why? Well, as I talked about before, how the Buccaneers coaching staff has learned that Tom Brady's got to stay upright. And if that means you got to keep Gronk in the block, then that's what you have to do. You got to keep Gronk in the block. Let's face it, the playoffs, he's had 2 targets. One was a touchdown catch where he got pushed out of the back of the end zone before his feet came down against Washington. And then he had that screen against Green Bay. That was it. He didn't have a target. He didn't have a target against the Saints. Like those was only 2 targets. So he's been being used as a blocker mostly to keep Brady upright, and he's been doing a great job, and so is the rest of the offensive line. So that's why we've seen this all of a sudden resurgence of Cam Brate in the playoffs.
Right.
Because the tight ends go out on routes, and Brady's thrown to the tight end.
Right.
Now the Kansas City Chiefs, by statistical measures, don't cover the tight end that well. Their safety that they're really, you always have that player that fans are like, oh God, we still got this guy. I really want to place it. I don't have the roster in front of me, and I apologize, but it starts with an S and it's really long. And it's like Polish or something. So anyway, their safety ends up matching up against tight ends, and sort of he's the guy that gets beat a lot. So if Brate can't go, now we're talking like Brady throwing to Tanner Hudson.
Right.
And with the Kansas City Chiefs not covering tight ends well as a team defensively, and then you add in Brady doesn't really have the chemistry with Hudson that he has with Brate, and we all like Brate's hands. Not that, Tanner's are suspect, but we feel more comfortable as Bucs fans having Brate in there. And so I think there's going to definitely be some plays drawn up for Cameron Brate. I do think he's going to play. I think he's going to take, the needle in the back and go out there and give it his all. But but Cameron Brate will be one of those players when the Bucs win this game. Cameron Brate's going to be one of those players that you go, we wouldn't have won the game without Cameron Brate.
Fair enough.
Or like, hey, remember that 3rd and 10 and Brate got 11? Like, that was clutch. Keep that drive alive. Like, that's what you're going to talk about Cameron Brate. You're going to notice him up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I definitely like.
And then Antonio Brown, who's also expected to play. I also think that's really big for the Bucs because they don't have somebody that has the Tyreek Hill type of feet that if you get in space, like Antonio Brown's going to make the first guy miss. Right. If he's not stumbling and trying to regain, sort of his center of gravity after the catch and on a short pass, to like a flare out or something, a screen pass out there. Once he gets set and there's somebody in front of him, he's going to make that guy miss. He is the guy. He's the most explosive receiver we have who can make something out of nothing. Mike Evans, as we know, is not very good at it. Chris Godwin is good at it, but it's mostly because he makes people tackle him. Like, he's going to see two guys. He's going to run as fast as he can and try to split them. They're going to, if they miss, they miss, but probably they're not, but he's going to fall forward. So he's going to get somewhere between, 7 to 12 yards on plays like that. Antonio Brown can take it all the way to the house. He just can, and also because of speed. So we don't have anybody like that. I guess the closest you could say is Scotty Miller, but he doesn't have the tackle breaking ability. And, even though he has tremendously improved from his rookie season where he was afraid to stick his nose in there at all, he's shown me this year that he can. He's just not Antonio Brown with the ball in his hands. He's just not.
Right.
So that's why I think Antonio Brown is big for the Bucs having him there.
Big for the game. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Bucs go in with everybody healthy in the receiving core. I mean, we're back to the old thing of who you're going to cover. Forget depth. Now you're truly at that. Who you're going to cover, who you're going to look at, where you're going to go. And this offensive staff has proven very capable of using everybody in their tool chest and using it to great effect to, oh, by the way, score a crap ton of points all year long. And I mean, this has been the highest scoring team, in Buccaneers history. Probably not league history.
Do you want to play your clip?
Do we want to play a clip?
Do you want to play your little clip? I feel like you're building up to it.
No, not right now.
Okay.
Not right now. I've got Ren like with the nervous ticks, like, oh, when's he gonna play it?
And here it comes. Here it comes. It's like 3.
We know it's
Couldn't.
Hey, you put me up to it. So
yeah, it's fine. It's like 3
but
more.
Outside of that, look, guys, here's the deal. This is the big thing that everybody needs to understand as far as the Buccaneers going in, and a lot, Vegas is down on the Bucs for this game, although it's only by 3 points. Like, that to me is Vegas going, yeah, we don't know who's going to win the game. Like, they're Kansas City Chiefs by 3, maybe. Like, the Buccaneers are healthy going into this game. Like the biggest question mark really on the whole team right now is, hey, what's going on with that right guard position where we lost our dude for the year? But Stinney's performed pretty admirably. I mean, he's not Kappa, right? But I haven't noticed a huge game. There's been a couple times where it's like, oh, he let that guy.
especially in the run game up the middle.
Yeah. But outside of that, like, I mean, Stinney's been able to hold up and do his thing.
Yeah, and if you had your choice, what would you like?
I'd take
no. If you had your choice to Stinney, like, have some problems, would you rather have it be in the run game or the pass, like run game or pass protection?
Yeah, let's go run game.
Yeah, exactly. So, count your blessings, especially what Kansas City is, trying to piece together with their offensive line.
Right. Buccaneers are fully healthy.
Yeah.
Kansas City, on the other hand, Ren.
Well, we think we should tell people that Antonio Whitfield Jr. and Jordan Whitehead were both full participation.
Yes, they were limited all week long, but they're back in. Those are probably the two biggest question marks. Jordan Whitehead, didn't he crack his collarbone or something 2 weeks ago?
I have no idea.
I mean,
he hurt his shoulder.
He did something. Yeah, like it was like Antoine Winfield's going to be back. Jordan Whitehead's probably done. But the fact that he's back and playing, and I mean, look, it's the biggest game of the year. You're not going to keep me out unless, like, I physically cannot get out there. Right. So,
and you got to be honest with your team too.
You do.
You can't sit out there, oh yeah, I'm good, and then it's a third touchdown sails over your head and be like,
because you want to play, yeah,
right, yeah, like, you know what, I'm really not that good.
Yeah.
But they'll find out early. So, and plus, we have Mike Edwards, so
they do. And if I think at the first end of trouble, they'll. I mean, they rotate those guys anyway,
right?
To a certain extent. Like it's not like Mike Edwards isn't going to see the field in this game.
I think Mike Edwards is going to end up playing more than Whitehead, based on what I think Kansas City's going to do, because that is the thing no one's talking about. Okay. And we'll get there when we get to what we expect. But I think for what Whitehead excels at, that they're just really not going to need him.
All right, fair enough. Let's move over and talk about the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs also have a list about as long as the Buccaneers. Actually, it's a little bit longer. They do have Sammy Watkins listed as questionable, which means likely will play. Le'Veon Bell was full participation. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all those guys, they're fine. However, out for the game, linebacker Willie Gay and Eric Fisher, their starting left tackle. I think he's their starting left tackle.
Yes.
And those guys, big outs for the game.
Big outs. And I'll tell you why. Well, obviously the left tackle, but and if you're watching this podcast, you have to know by now that they've been missing their right tackle for a few weeks now. There was a super outside chance that he was going to make it. Well, he's not. So now Kansas City obviously has two starting new right tackles. Well, newish. One of them's been there a little bit, but newish right tackle. One has been a turnstile. Actually let Von Miller win the MVP to a Super Bowl once because he let him have like 3 sacks. So that is a huge plus for the Buccaneers. Just imagine like losing Wirth and Smith, and then Bucks having like Larson and Haig, and you're going to go play the Chiefs. How would you feel?
Right.
Like you're complete, So as everyone, of course, has said that's really going to that opens the door for JPP and Shaq Barrett to have huge games. And since they're moving one of their guards to outside to tackle, so they're going to have a new guard too. So maybe that helps Via and Dominican Sue and Will Golston. So a lot of people are looking at the trenches for that. Now, the reason Gay is such a big signature is because he was their Quan Alexander. That's the best way I can explain it. Yep. I would say Devin White, but he's not that good. But he's that young. I can't remember if he came out last year or this year, but he's like a tackling machine, sideline to sideline, speedy linebacker, just not that disciplined, and is learning the nuances of the game. With him not in the middle, it helps the Bucks somewhat, a little bit in coverage, but not so much in the run game because the Bucks don't run a lot of outside or a lot of outside zone or outside concepts. And that's where his speed shows up, as you see with, Devin White and Levante David. When these teams try to get outside and you see these guys come out of nowhere, that's kind of Gay's role. So even though what he does best, it would probably be nullified if the Bucs do what they normally do in the running game. But still, it's another backup there in the middle of the field that the Bucs can, take advantage of, such as Cam Brate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at their starting lineup right now for the offensive line, and I mean these guys they've got a rookie right guard who's going to kick out and play tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they have one veteran guy who's like very old into his career right now.
Yeah, that's what's his name?
Is that Rimmer?
Yeah, that's the guy that got Von Bell the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I mean they've got a guy that I can't even pronounce his last name, Wifnaski or something like that. But I mean these guys, I mean my God, they're going against Tampa Bay Buck. Think about this, guys. Like seriously, everybody out there, think about this. This patchwork of an offensive line. We've faced this a few times this year with various teams. The Raiders come to mind. Maybe the Giants. I think we also, face. These guys are facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front seven, playing the best they've played all year long. Like with Vita Vea back.
Yeah,
with Vita Vea back. Like, are you kidding me?
And a new guard.
Right. I mean, look, this is going to play. One of the things I'm going to talk about later is the run versus pass on Kansas City's part, particularly, and how this game's going to go. But I mean, that's factors into it huge. This is going to be an air game. This game is going to air out. It's not going to be a running game, hardly at all. So anyway, so those guys that's going to be huge. So they're coming in now. I haven't heard anything about the COVID situation for the two players.
The receiver's back.
The receiver is back.
And the other guy was a backup center. I didn't hear, but the receiver came back today. It was cleared today.
He was cleared today. Okay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that whole situation sucked because it
was just stupid.
Well, it is, but here's did you hear the barber that came in he tested 5 days in a row before coming in, all negative test, 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
Got cleared, followed every protocol, came in, cut their hair, came into the facility to cut their hair. Right. Left the next day, caught a positive test. And I was like, oh my God,
that's not what happened.
That's
not what happened.
Being reported.
No.
On Sirius XM.
Okay, well that's not what happened.
No, what happened?
What happened was, I mean, I know, yes, he was, got all those negatives.
Yeah.
But then they tested him and he came in and he was in line to cut 20 people's hair. So he took the test, started cutting hair, and the two people he cut were the people who were contact, and the test came back positive.
They let him start cutting hair before they gave him that final test.
That's what I'm talking about. How stupid it was.
Wow.
But they had five.
How weird that was that he would come in and just to cut two people's hair.
No, he was supposed to cut like Patrick Mahomes' hair. So imagine if Patrick Mahomes went first or second, he would have to sit out all week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that part of it. I didn't. That's.
There's some funky stuff going on because
I thought that was weird that they would test him that hard to come in and just cut two guys' hair. What you're saying makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah. So. And there's and I don't want to get it, sort of like make a big thing about this, but Patrick Mahomes got a quote unquote concussion, right?
Right.
In the AFC Championship game, right?
I don't think there's no quote unquote. That was his eyes were rolling around in his head. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, but what I mean concussion was because if you look at it, he doesn't really hit his head on anything. People start saying he got, like choked out or something happened and he wasn't getting blood to his brain. So it was like a stroke is really what he had. But they let him practice while he was still in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. Like he was out there practicing while still. It wasn't in the AFC Championship. It was the week before because they were letting him practice to go to the AFC Championship game. He was out there practicing while in concussion protocol, and it's like, what?
Yeah. I thought it was very odd that he came back and played that next game. I really did. I was like, that just doesn't seem because I remember watching that hit. I remember going, I'm not sure. Like I just thought he just must have gotten shaken. Like he got hit so hard that he shook.
Like baby shaky syndrome.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like Miss Piggy.
He is young.
Miss Piggy shake up Kermit the Frog.
Oh, I gotta tell you, Ren. I had my first kid. They didn't tell me anything about not shaking the baby.
Okay.
Right? And I never shook him. I never did.
Yeah. Well,
but fortunately, he was a dream. He was sleeping through the night almost since the day we brought him home from the hospital. The second kid, on the other hand, not so much. But just 3 years later, they're like, hey, just remember, don't shake the baby when you go home. And I went, okay. And I will never, one night, it was probably like week 12, and she was just crying all night long. And I went in and I just picked her up and I just held her. And I went, you've got to go to sleep. And I should not shake you. Like that. It was, so I was really glad they said that, because like,
I'm taking very little.
you really start like, you're not in your right frame of mind, and you're like, should not shake you. I'm going to put you back down right now. Like, but I would have shooken Patrick Mahomes.
When my brother had his first daughter, he was in the room with her, with his wife, and baby born first night, and everyone's exhausted, and he's sitting in the daddy chair, the big chair, and he's got her on his chest, and he fell asleep and he dropped her. She slid out and hit the floor.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, day one as a dad, you drop your infant daughter.
Good news, she won't remember it. She might not remember a bunch of other stuff, but she ain't gonna remember that.
No, this is she's fine. She's great. She's like 11 now.
So you know what? If I was Patrick Mahomes, the daddy, I would have dropped him too.
Okay, wow, you're
yeah.
No.
For this week anyway. For this week.
Just for this week, I would have dropped you as a child, because in 23 years you're gonna face the Buccaneers.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Ren. Well, that's it as far as injury. So look, this is what we've got. We've got an incredibly healthy Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Chiefs team that has a still concussed Patrick Mahomes, because let's face it, he still is. But who can still play incredible lights out. They've got a patchwork offensive line going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front defense of 7. With a fully, I don't want to say they're all fully healthy, but they're going to play. That backfield's going to play. All our starting backfield people are going to play, and
everybody's going to play.
Yeah, like this. So here's the thing, and let's roll into our next segment, which will be, we'll spend the remainder of our time here. What are you looking forward to in this game? And the word on the street for most people is this is an evenly matched game. Like, this game is going to be a shootout. It's just going to go back and forth, maybe high scoring, maybe not, whatever, but it's just going to be a shootout. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm not so sure. But Ren, I'll throw it over to you.
Sure.
How do you think this game's going to go? What are you looking forward to seeing in this game? Wherever you want to go. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, let's start where everyone's talked about. And at the beginning of the show, I go, let me tell you why everyone's wrong, because no one's taking it further. You remember when I used to say it's a tip of the spear argument, Yep. It's like, well, that sounds great. Okay. So let's talk about this. Chiefs offensive line, not at full strength. Buccaneers defensive line has been getting pressure with 4 against the Packers defensive line or offensive line that wasn't full strength. Okay. So do you think Andy Reid knows this?
Sure he does.
Okay. So do you think Andy Reid's going to send 4 verts every play?
No.
So he's going to try to compensate for his patchwork offensive line going up against the Bucs front 7, correct? Well, okay. How do we do that? Do we run the ball? No. You can try. They're going to run it some.
Yeah.
But you just don't run against this defense. We've proven it for 2 straight years. It's just the way it is. You can bang your head against the wall as many times as you want to keep the team honest and use play action and that type of deal. But if you're hanging your hat on, we're going to get 300 yards on the ground and eat up the clock and beat these guys, 31-14 because we're not going to let them have the ball, it ain't going to work. So what's Andy Reid going to do? He's going to do what the Rams did. He's not going to run the ball at all, and he's going to throw everything short, and he's going to get it to his playmakers across the middle on short slants, button hooks, screens, and all that stuff. So the Bucs are going to have to come up and make this tackle. They're going to also have to play very disciplined, because I expect early on for Andy Reid to try to use the Bucs' speed and aggressiveness, and being so hyped up after hearing of 2 weeks of how they're going to kill this offensive line, that there's going to be misdirections, rollouts, even draws. You'll see a shovel pass to Kelsey coming across the formation, not at the goal line. You'll see backs leaking out and screens in the middle of the field. So the Bucs are going to have to play real disciplined football. Now, everyone thinks this is going to be a shootout. I think the Chiefs are so banged up on the offensive line, they're going to have to try to do something they're not good at. Not that they can't pull it off, but what they're good at is pushing the ball down the field with Kelsey and Hill. And they're just not going to have the time. So they're coming in with a completely different offensive philosophy, which they can do because of the immense talent they have at all the positions that are weapons. I mean, Le'Veon Bell's the backup. The guy was the number 1 fantasy draft pick for like 3 years in a row.
Sure.
He didn't do anything wrong. He just went to the Jets. So the Bucs have to play disciplined football. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. If the Bucs, remember when we played Atlanta and it was like a close game, I think the second one, and then finally we just broke it open, and I kept saying that, people were like, oh my God, they got it within 7. I was like, yeah, but Atlanta, or maybe it was Washington. Like Washington just kept, like they had to hang, like they were playing their absolute best football and just keeping in the game. I think that's what's going to happen with the Chiefs. I really do. I think that, that Todd Bowles is going to have something for this defense from what they're going to try to do. I think the Bucs should have a nice counter for, which is very important, because what I loved about the Green Bay game is when we got pressure with 4 and Green Bay countered with rollouts, bootlegs, and waggles, that Todd Bowles already had an answer. He goes, okay, it was like when they do this, it didn't take a quarter and a half. Right. It didn't take 3 possessions. As soon as Aaron,
go to the locker room and talk about it.
As soon as Aaron Rodgers started coming out, he's like, okay, if you see him roll out, you're the cornerback, you're the outside guy, you leave your man and you go at him, because they're getting him outside so he has time to look downfield, take big shots. We're not going to give him that time. What we're going to make him do is throw it to the guy who's 7 yards downfield, and we're going to come up and make the tackle. If he gets a first down, that's fine. We're going to live with 7 to 12 yard gains instead of 30, 40, 50 yard gains. We're not going to let him attempt it. So having the confidence of seeing Todd Bowles actually think it through, because I think the Chiefs are going to come in looking like the Rams. The Rams only ran the ball like 8 times.
Right.
And if Todd Bowles is ready for that, and he has a plan and he's been working on it for 2 weeks, I think that KC struggles to score. So
what you're saying is you don't think it's a shootout.
No.
You think that this is a lopsided game towards the Buccaneers.
I think the Bucs win by double digits.
Brent, I got to tell you. Okay, let me ask you this. How much of that is you really taking off your biased fan hat and just trying to be as unbiased analytical as possible? Like, be honest with yourself.
Brent, have you ever known me to talk about a game with my fan hat on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not off. And you know why Vegas has the Chiefs by 3? It's because everyone thinks the Chiefs haven't lost. That's why everyone's picking the Chiefs. Yeah. If you really look at this, what the Chiefs do well, they can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it and expect to win. They just can't.
Yeah, not against this team. And that's actually really where I want to go, because our friend Corey Draper over at the Play Reaction has kind of been pushing this, like, this isn't going to be a shootout, this isn't going to be a shootout. And it made me start looking at some stuff. And I started looking at the Chiefs stats. I started looking at some of our stats and started looking, just kind of going back and forth and seeing, okay, historically, what has this been doing? Now, granted, you and I talked about this a little bit before the show. Anything can happen in a game.
Yeah.
Like you could look at historically what's happened. Even this season, what's happened. That doesn't mean diddly squat for this particular game, right? Like this game, you're just looking at trends, like where they've been trending. That's all you're really doing. But still looking at that, and I started looking at like how much the Chiefs have won versus how much their opponents have lost by, like what that score differential is versus what it has been with the Buccaneers, what our defense has been able to do against the other teams versus what that's going to match up. And I was just going, the more I looked at it, the more and more separation began to occur just statistically, like in trends. The more separation began to occur towards the Buccaneers, that I was like, you said you think the Bucks are going to win by double digits. I was thinking the Bucks are going to win by more than one score, which could be 9 or double digits.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm really thinking 10. That's what I'm thinking. And like,
yeah. I think it might be. I think you might be right. Like,
I think Kansas City tops out at 24, and that's giving them
off the hat.
Yeah,
taking off the hat. I really think it.
I don't even own one.
Right. I do. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Red,
I'm in, man. I think the team's prepared. I think the coaching staff has pulled a 180 since the bye week. I think Tom Brady's presence is something that's just not there now. I understand Andy Reid is like 25-7 when coming out of a bye week, which is just a fancy way of saying 2 weeks to prepare. That includes last year's Super Bowl. Like, I get it. I really do. But I'm telling you, man, they don't have the guys up front. And if they're going to try to come out here and, have Mahomes backpedal 12 yards every play so he can get the ball down, they're going to take their shots like they will. There are going to be plays where Mahomes backpedals 15 yards from the shotgun position to get the guys down the field to take a shot. But you just got to be ready for it. And I think they top out at 24, man. And that's given like Hill getting away on, like somebody missing a tackle and him squirting free and flipping the field from being on their own 30 to down inside our 20 on a 7-yard pass. Like I'm giving him those things. I don't think Kansas City's going to be able to move the ball against us that well. I really don't. I think it's going to be like the Washington game, the second Falcons game, where they're just like, they're in it when you look at the score, but they're really not. They're just like, they need everything to break their way, and it has been, and they're still just, they're down 8. It's like, oh, like they scored, okay, they're down 8. But I mean, you haven't scored since the first quarter, and like it's about to be the fourth. Like, what makes you think you're gonna score again? So and then we can talk about, I kind of cut you off there now that I'm thinking about it. I apologize. But then we can move to when you're done talking, we can move to the other side of the ball and what I expect Kansas City to do, and I think the Bucs will do.
Well, no, why don't you go ahead and do that, because you're in that vein right now. So let's stay there, because what I've got honestly is a little more on the ridiculous side. So let's stay in this vein. Go ahead and do your other side of the ball.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo, Spags or Gags, I like to call him. I don't know why. Probably just because I don't like him this week, so he's Gags.
Right.
He was the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they spoiled the 49ers, perfect season. Right. He does well against Tom Brady, and the way that he does well is because he blitzes him and makes him feel uncomfortable. The Bucs aren't going to let that happen. Like, they're not. Now, I'm not saying that there's no, like, Kansas City's not going to get home once or twice, and Tom Brady's going to have this, crisp white uniform and no stains on it, and he's going to have all the time in the world, but mostly he is. And then he's going to have to get desperate with it. And then when he gets desperate with it, that's when I think the Bucs start to really put up the points quickly, halfway through the third quarter. But I think they're going to play disciplined football. I think there's matchups like you talked about, like who you're going to cover. I think there's the Kansas City secondary it is very good and it can be outstanding, but it also doesn't sometimes. And it really relies a lot on the pressure. And with Gay being out, they really don't have that Devin White guy blitzing up the middle that's nearly as scary. I think our offensive line is up to the task in their defensive line. And And yeah, like if Cam Brate plays, we win. Caveat.
Okay.
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and
Antonio
Tyler Johnson, you got to catch the ball this week.
Yeah.
Can you got to catch the ball this week.
Please throw Leonard Fournette into that as well.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter because they're not going to be big plays. I mean, yes, I would love for him to catch the ball, but if he drops a screen, okay, what are you really losing? 7 yards? If Mike drops one and Chris drop one, you're dropping like 15 to 30 in a first down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and basically, yes, I'd like to include Leonard Fournette, but I'm saying, like, I'm trying not to be greedy. Like we know Leonard Fournette can drop the ball and he's going to drop the ball. Okay. Like
right.
I'm willing to accept that. But, you know, especially early, like you guys, you got to catch the ball, man. You got to catch the ball this week. Those games.
Do you think they've said that in practice this week? Do you think Tom might have said it once?
I'm sure. I mean, when they watch film and stuff, you know, I'm sure. So, you know, like neither of those games would have been close. None of those three, like any of the playoffs games would not be nearly as close if Evans, mostly Godwin, and Tyler Johnson caught the ball. Like they dropped huge plays. So, yeah, that's my own caveat. If they catch the ball, put it this way, I think the Bucs are a more talented roster. If both these teams play their A game, I still think we win by 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Everyone's got this wrong because Kansas City's lost one game in like 15 months.
Look, I was gonna say, I mean, you say what you want about all of these things and about how things match up. The other side of the argument being Kansas City wins, regardless of how they win or what teams they face or whatever.
Yeah.
Kansas City's been winning, and they're the defending Super Bowl champs. They did it last year. They've done it all this year, and you know there's no reason to stop them now, except Tampa Bay's been better, and Tampa Bay's been better where it counts. And I've got some numbers I want to share, Ren.
All right.
I want to fully admit something at this point. This is me in my final ever, probably, pregame show of my podcasting career.
Okay. I'm like, what do you mean probably?
Well, you may invite me back as a guest at some point and I could come back and do one, but
of course, yes.
That, like, yeah, or I might go be a guest on some other show. I don't know.
That's true.
You know, as far as a host, because this is my final pregame show, because I'm after this game, we've got the award shows, and then I'm out, man. This whole baby's yours. I'm completely putting on my fan hat. This is me being a homer. I'm taking off all the weight of having to be unbiased. Not that I've ever really have carried much of that, but this is me being a complete and total homer. All right,
sure.
And I'm gonna throw out some numbers at you. I'm gonna throw out some stuff just over the course of this season. That is, if you're a betting person, you want to call up Vegas and you want to lay some odds. You want to call up my bookie or your bookie or their bookie. I don't care what bookie you call. You want to lay some numbers. I got some numbers for you guys. I'm going to lay it out there. That's just going to prove that the Bucs are going to win all the way around, and some things that you can maybe lay some money on. So here it is. Did you know, Ren, this year, the Buccaneers have outscored their opponents by 137 points.
I did.
Meanwhile, the Chiefs have only outscored their opponents by 111 points.
Have they played the same opponents?
I don't care. That is a 26-point difference. The Buccaneers have never lost a game when they've scored 26 points. Coincidence? I think not. Ergo, Bucs will win this game. Lay money.
Yeah, math checks.
That works out.
Sure.
That works out. The Buccaneers this year have forced 25 turnovers. The Chiefs have only forced 22. Ergo, lay some money on this. In this game, I'm predicting The Buccaneers will get 3 turnovers.
Okay. I don't really know how you got to that number, but okay.
Because they forced 25, whereas the Chiefs have only forced 22. That's a difference of 3.
Yeah.
So the Bucs are going to get 3 turnovers.
So they're going to make it a difference of 6?
Do what?
So they're going to make a difference of 6?
Huh?
Well, if they get 3 turnovers, then the difference will be 6.
Yeah. By the end of the thing, and 6 points is a touchdown, and so the Buccaneers win. So, but anyway, Buccaneers get 3 turnovers. Of those turnovers, one of them will be a fumble recovery. I am predicting one will be a fumble recovery because our defense is that good. But here's another way I know, because the Buccaneers have forced 10 fumbles for recovery, whereas the Chiefs have lost 9 fumbles for recovery. Ergo, the Bucs are going to get an extra fumble recovery this game. I will say this, though, on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sad one for me. The Chiefs have caught 16 interceptions over the course of this year. The Buccaneers have only caught 15. So I'm going to give the Chiefs 1 interception this game against Tom Brady.
Okay.
But I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Because Tom Brady threw 3 against some of them other teams, and our defense stood. I'm fine. I'm good. I don't care. I'll give them 1. I'll give them the 1. I don't care. It can even go to Tyrann Mathieu, BA's favorite player ever. I don't care. Buccaneers going to get it. Buccaneers have the number 1 run defense in the league. Their run offense is 23rd in the league. And we've got Vita Vea back, which means our run defense is like -4 in the league. Like we've gotten so much closer. We're on the other side. Basically, what I'm saying is they're not going to run on us. They're not going to run. They're just not going to be able to.
I'm trying so hard.
This is going to be an air game. It's going to be an air game. That might be a short air game, but it's going to be an air game. I'll say this too, but Chiefs have 105 penalties for 919 yards over the course of the season.
How many more of these do you have?
1 more.
Okay.
The Buccaneers have 84 penalties for 715 yards. Basically, the Chiefs are going to play dirty, and they're going to get a lot more penalties in this game than the Buccaneers. And I predict, you can lay money on it, there will be 1,701 tweets out there on your Twitter timeline talking about how much the NFL refs have been paid off for their golden boy, Tom Brady. And we ain't
just 1,000?
1,701 is exactly.
When's that actually start?
Do what?
Was that from a kickoff to final zeros?
Yeah, that's what's going to appear in your timeline, actually.
Oh, just in my time. Okay.
Yes. All right, here's my final one. The Chiefs are going to catch some balls on us because they do move the ball down the field. They're going to get some yards. But so will we, because we are number 2 and number 3 in the league for passing between the 2 teams. But once again, our defense is better. Buccaneers are going to win this game, y'all. This is what I'm trying to say. All of these numbers, I don't care what happens. Buccaneers are winning this game, Ren. And I'm with you. I think it's by at least 2 scores.
2 scores.
I think it's at least 2 scores.
2 scores. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. I said double digits. Yeah.
Double digits. But I think
so you're saying 9 or more.
9 or more.
And I'm saying 10 or more.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to give a final score prediction before we do our predictive MVPs?
Yeah, I will. I will say Buccaneers 38. Chiefs 24.
Yeah, that's I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going 35. No, 38. I'm going 38-24. That's what I'm doing too.
How much do you I mean, like, I'm legitimately predicting this. How much, like, this feels a lot like what the first Super Bowl could have felt like to me, like going into it, like
Super Bowl 1, Packers Chiefs.
No, our first Super Bowl.
Okay.
Against the Raiders, that just, we got up and we just never looked back. And I think that's the way that looking at the way that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is where you and I are going to differ. This is where we're going to come apart. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take the ball first.
I can understand that.
I think
I really can. I get it in this game.
Yeah.
Because
ball first.
I can understand that with all the pressure, and I'm sure you've got with 2 weeks to draw up your top plays. Like you better be able to move the ball down the field,
right?
And so going down, and especially scoring 7,
getting up right away.
Yeah, it's nice, and I think that the Bucks play a lot better with the lead. They're front runners as a whole team. I still think the whole team, they have to make a play, and also making a play can be a scoring drive, obviously, but it seems that like neither side of the ball sort of really gets going until a play is made. You know what I mean? Right. It's like the defense doesn't wake up till the offense wakes up, but the offense doesn't wake up till the defense doesn't wake up. So it's whoever like makes the sack or gets a big stop on 3rd down. I mean, it can be anything, just any play. I'm not talking about, he catches the ball and you tackle him, or you pick up 2 first downs and punt the ball. It's not making a play. It's like it's the Chiefs are like 3rd and 11, and Patrick Mahomes passes the ball, and Devin White comes up and stops Kelsey a yard short, and they have to punt. That's a play, So, so I can see that. I'm still, and since I don't know, man, I don't know. I can see it, but I'm still not. I'm still not gonna back it and think that's a good idea. But I understand the thinking. But the buy-in's too big for me because what you're doing is not taking the ball in the second half, man.
I get it, but it's worked out so far for the Buccaneers, and I'm for the Buccaneers taking the ball. I get your point why they shouldn't.
Yeah,
you have sold me on it. For anyone who wants to know, go back on pretty much any episode like over the last year.
Since BA's been head coach.
Yeah, I'm not.
Why aren't you taking the ball? Or why are you taking the ball?
Right. Still a possession. Blah, blah, blah. Go back and listen to that. I understand exactly where you're coming from on that. I just don't think they should. Definitely not in this game. But I will go back to, regardless of all of that, what I really think. This is my big analytical. I think we have 2 very evenly matched teams for the most part, and I think this is going to come down to how they're coached. Because even in where you talked about on both sides of the ball, what you really talked about was how the coaches are going to use the players. Never once did you talk about, can the player just play? Is the player going to execute?
They're all too good. That's why they're here. They're here. That's why they're here.
Exactly. In fact, the only people who might not execute, you kind of called out: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette. Don't drop the freaking ball. Like that's
Lenny, you can drop the ball.
No, Lenny, don't. I want playoff Lenny, not Stone Hands Leo. That's what I want.
It's the same guy. He's dropped like 4 in the playoffs.
I know. But I mean, Carlton Davis has to have the best game of his career. It's the biggest game of his career. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. I see what you're saying. Yes, to go back to what you're saying, fair. I understand. But I mean,
they're putting Davis on Kelsey. At least they should.
Yeah. All right.
And
here's
the final question. Just double Hill.
All right.
Wherever he goes.
For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Make Watkins beat you.
There you go. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is the biggest game of their careers, collectively speaking. Right? It's the one in front of them. Here's my question. Is this Tom Brady's biggest game of his career? Seventh Super Bowl, potential 7th Super Bowl win. It's his 10th Super Bowl, first one without Belichick.
No, I
his
mean,
biggest game of his career.
No, I mean, nothing against you, but I just think those questions are acidine. Like, the guys, these would play for 20 years. Like, he doesn't even, and you'll never get the answer out of him, at least not while he's playing, because like, I'm not focused. I'm thinking on the next one. He was already talking in the press conference today about training for next offseason. He was. He's like, I need to get faster. I see these guys all moving around, making plays with their legs. Like, I got to work on that. I'm already thinking about ways to pick up some speed in the offseason. It's like 2 days away from the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's like, he's already like, okay, well, Okay, well, we got this one won. So how do I start preparing for the next one?
Mhm.
So no, I mean, how do you even quantify that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I threw it out there, because I don't know. But listen, for all of these players, what got me on that was thinking about for the rest of these players, with the exception of like JPP, was Shaq? I don't think
Shaq was in one. Sue
Shaq
was in one.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I mean, at least the people who we think of as homegrown Buccaneers,
Oh yeah.
they've never been in this is the biggest game of their careers.
Yeah.
Biggest game of their careers. Ren, I'm excited. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for everything coming up here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
We're under 48 hours till the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm not going to ask you what you're eating or what you're serving or what you're
Okay.
dipping in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It's
time to believe, Brent. Time to believe.
is. It's time. What did you say? It's time to start believing in this team.
Yeah.
We had a whole episode about that. It's time to start believing in this team.
It is.
Yes.
They've proven it.
Now it is.
Yes. It's time to take your thinking of, oh my God, I hope the game plan's good. Hope this person does this. Hope this person doesn't fail. This person doesn't fail. And it's time to flip the switch to, they're all going to show up and they're all going to execute.
Yeah. Do you want to do a predictive MVP?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Tom Brady.
Talk about it. Why?
Because it's a 7th Super Bowl and they have to give it to him.
7's the magic number, right?
But I will give you my X factor. If Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady and they have to give him the MVP ipso facto, I think offensively the biggest player is going to be Chris Godwin. I think they're going to put him in the slot and they're going to get him free. And I don't think Kansas City really has an answer for him. I really hope he catches the ball early and often. But I think him and Cam Brate are going to be the guys that when the Bucs get behind the chains look to.
What about Mike Evans? Is he just going to be regular Mike Evans in this game, you think?
They're talking about going to put Mike Evans in the slot. Who is
they?
The Bucs.
Oh.
It's been reported that the Bucs are saying that Mike Evans is going to play in the slot. They're going to move him around. So you just don't put him, always on the left-hand side, always on the outside. So, and it's just basically to make it harder to game plan for him and, give the Chiefs more things to look at and more defensive packages and more defensive setups to try to defend what's coming at them. So, I think all the receivers, I think the 3 receivers, which are Evans, Godwin, and Brown, I think they're all going to make big plays. Yeah. I just think that Chris Godwin, at the end of the game, you're going to be like, wow, that was a big catch. Or, Godwin did the yeoman's work for the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm even expecting like 2 TDs for Mike and 1 for Brown and get Godwin nothing and still being like Godwin was the guy.
Right.
With, of course, a little shout out to Cameron Brate.
There you go.
And defensively, I mean, there's nothing smart or tricky or, hey, the way this defensive game plan is going to turn up, blah, 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 blah. I think it's all on Devin White's shoulders, man.
You think so?
I would normally say Vita Vea, because I did earlier this week and last week. But when I think about it, after that long explanation I told you about how they're going to get the ball out quick, he's just not going to he's not going to be a factor in the pass rush because they're not going to allow the pass rush to get there. Even if they didn't they're going to get the ball out so quick, they don't need offensive linemen. He's you physically can't start from where you're starting and get your hands on Patrick Mahomes so the ball comes out of his hand most of the time. So, that taking the center and the guard and depositing him in Patrick Mahomes' lap with JPP and Shaq crashing around the ends and have him nowhere to go. I just don't think they're going to allow that to happen. So So it's going to be on Devin White, roam in the middle of the field, man.
See, I'm going to go with another player on defense.
Sure.
I'm going with Levante David. I think when you Levante David has been the most reliable, the most consistent. He has continued to make impact plays all season long. And he plays smart, he plays intelligent, and he gets his nose in there and he does the work that he needs to do. Sometimes it's just as flashy as Devin White. A lot of times it's not. But I mean, this may be a bit of me being the longtime Buccaneers fan who's ached for Levante to
oh God, if I got to pick someone,
yeah,
it'd be Levante David. Like you get to hand out the MVP trophy. I just give it to Levante David.
Yeah.
Like, you got injured on the first snap. I do.
I don't care. Yeah.
He still gets it.
It was a good snap.
Did you see that one play though?
Right. I'm with you on that because there is not another player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster since we have been doing this podcast that I want that more for than Levante David.
Yeah.
And so, and that being said, outside of that, Levante David really could earn it. Levante David really could. Like, he's that much of a good he's playing that good right now.
He's going to need some splash plays.
He really does. He really does. So I've got Levante in there, and
I think he needs a pick 6.
Oh, that'd be so great.
I think that's what he needs to have a shot at it.
He gets a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. Does that solidify him for future Hall of Fame status, you think?
Oh God.
Because Levante's at that point in his career, Ren, where we've got to start talking about him in terms of future Hall of Fame. Like, is he there yet?
I'd have to look. I'd have to look and see recent linebackers and who's got in and what their stats are and this and that. You know what's really going to help? How fast Luke Kuechly gets in. Like, if he goes in first ballot, then we can have a serious talk about it. Because when you put his numbers up against Levante David,
it's not close.
Yeah, and it will end up not being close because
Levante's got more years now.
Yeah, because they came in the league same year. They came in the same time, same year.
Right.
So yeah, so
in their time together, they still Levante's numbers are better. Like,
the only thing Kuechly beats him at is tackles, and it's really not a lot. But by the time his career ends, like that'll be obviously it might be wiped out by now. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
it was something like he had like 300 more tackles than him, but but Levante David had like 15 more pass breaks up and 20 more forced fumbles and 15 more sacks and everything else. So yeah, I can give you a better answer then, because I just don't know how the Hall feels about linebackers.
It's I get it. I'm with you on that, and who knows? Maybe we'll have somebody else who's presenting our Hall of Fame nominees at that point. One can only hope.
Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking about that today, and then thinking about after he got Sapp and Brooks in, and he'd go on the radio and tell these stories how other voters were like, Ira, you should do all the presentations, because he was so entertaining, Yeah. And then I flash back to what I saw this year, and I'm like,
entertaining that was. Like, he was reading off a freaking.
Dude, that was so bad. That was so bad. But how can you do a performance like that and then someone tell you that you should do them all and then think they're serious and take it as a compliment and then go spread it all around town?
Yeah.
Like, you've either regressed greatly in your presentation skills or you're obtuse.
Or both. Oh, Ren. All right. I'm not talking about bad on anyone else. We're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers win. Going into the Super Bowl, we will be celebrating bringing home the trophy. I got to tell you, Ren, I cannot. Let me back up.
Sure.
After the Minnesota Vikings game, we came on and I told everybody I was leaving the show. The weeks before that, where I'd already made the decision, where I'd talked to you about it, and a few other before that. I could not have asked for a better way to go out.
You think?
You know what I mean? Like, I know the understatement of the year, but it needs to be said. This has been a phenomenal year and a phenomenal stretch of season for us as podcasters.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I don't even hate you right now. Like, we get to the end of the season and we're like, I'm not talking to you for like 6 weeks, and then we're like 2 weeks out and we're like, oh man, I miss you.
Yeah.
You know, it just I say that fun, guys. I'm just joking. I've never hated Ren much. No,
It's true. Never lasts.
This has been a really, and for the last 3 weeks, I got to tell you, for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it's been, I have gone into each one of these weeks truly not knowing, okay, is this my last game or not? Is this my last game or not? I know definitively this is my final game, right?
Mhm.
But this has just been so much fun covering this team, and you know, yeah, I'm speechless. I'm so excited for this game, and I got nothing else to say.
Oh, I doubt that.
We going to the ship. 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 We going to the ship.
Red, why don't you tell the folks where they can get in touch with you out there on the internet?
Of all the movie clips to latch onto.
Brent, no. When did that, here, trivia time. When did I first say that? Because you have been cringing at it for a very long time. When did I first bring that in? Do you remember?
It was not this year. It was a few years ago. It was a long time because I didn't know where it was from.
Uh-huh.
You were doing this. Oh no, wait. No, it was this year.
Mm-hmm. It was.
It was on Grossi, wasn't it?
No.
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 Yeah, it was.
No.
Someone brought us on and asked how we think you're going to do this season. So it wasn't Grossi.
No, and it was our show. It wasn't somebody else's. Although I did it on like everybody else's show, but no.
Okay, I don't know.
It was the show that we did right after they signed Tom Brady.
Oh.
It was the show right after they signed Tom Brady, and I just came in. I was like, "That's it. We're going to the ship. We're going to this." And you were like, "What are you talking about?
What are you talking? The pirate ship?
You've never seen, what is that? Is it Hardball?" Yeah.
No one knows, Brent.
Yes, they do, because it's a phenomenal Keanu Reeves movie that everybody should go see. And you know,
it's a complete ripoff of the Mighty Ducks
It
and
is
Bad News Bears.
100% the Mighty Ducks on baseball. 100%.
It's called the Bad News Bears.
100%. But it's way better than Bad News Bears. It's true. It's true. It's a good movie.
It's not better than the Bad News Bears.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
Tell the folks where they can tell you that you're wrong, that Hardball is better than Bad News Bears.
Who was the coach in Bad News Bears?
Walter Matthau.
Okay. Just want to make sure you'd seen it.
Fun fact, I once played a role that Walter Matthau also started. I took a riff on his role.
In what? Like high school play or something?
College. Yeah, in college.
College.
Yeah.
Was it The Odd Couple?
No, the name, it was Horace Van de Gelder. 10 points if you know what play that's from.
Horace Van de Gelder? I only get 10 points for that. Horace Van de Gelder. Yeah, I don't know. You can tell me?
The name of the play was The Matchmaker. The name of the musical that it was based on, that was based on The Matchmaker, was Hello, Dolly.
Okay.
Hello, Dolly. You're going to miss me when I'm gone, Red. You're going to miss me. Hello, Dolly.
The changes that are coming will be drastic. Best place to find.
Will one of the changes be we can wrap up the show without having to ask for it 4 times?
Yes. The change will be we will be wrapping up the show quicker, sooner or later. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay. Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. Yeah, I see that. I'll do a Brent. Don't do that. I was trying to talk Buccaneers football, but if you feel like your tweet is too hot and you don't want to put it out there in Twitter sphere, feel free to slide in my DMs and I'll talk Buccaneers football there with you as well also.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live. In fact, if you guys follow this at the Pewtercast, you should go follow me over there because I'm probably going to stop tweeting from the Pewtercast. There's no probably, I will. You guys go follow me over there at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. It's Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook or Twitter because those are the only three that actually exist out there. But you guys can follow me out there. Or if you're on chat room, you can hit me up on chat room at or not chat room, Clubhouse. You can hit me up on Clubhouse.
At Clubhouse.
Yeah, Clubhouse. If you know what it is, awesome. If you don't, then sorry, you got to know what it is. It's one of those kind of things. It's like Fight Club. You're just not allowed to talk about it if you don't know.
So I just blurted out on a podcast.
Anyway, you guys can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. The show is at the Pewtercast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. And yeah, guys, less than 48 hours till the Super Bowl. And for the final time on a pregame show, go!